Hi, everyone. This is a big stage. I'm excited to be here. My name is Ezequiel Vidra, and I'm the head of Google for Entrepreneurs Europe and Campus London. There's a lot of continental Europeans in the crowd. How many of you have been to campus or heard of Campus London? All right, I see a few hands, so it will be news for the most of you. I'm going to tell you in this short presentation what we've done at Campus London and about the London startup community, but also about how Google can help your startup. I think that everyone in the audience here is either in a startup or works with startups or wants to help startups as well, so I hope you find it interesting. Let's start with London. What's the first thing that you think about when you think about London? You can shout any answer, anything that comes to mind. That's right, the Queen. Well done. Some people may think about football and fish and chips. But actually, what about startups? Well, you'll be happy to know that London has the trifecta of startup success, or the three elements that are really important for startups to succeed. You know, we have access to talent with some of the top universities in the world being based in London or down the road at Cambridge and Oxford. We have access to capital. A lot of you are here. A lot of you are also based here, but also, you know, a couple of blocks down the road, we have the city of London that has more concentration of wealth than many other European countries combined. And it's just a question of allocation, and a lot of this money is getting allocated for startups. And finally, we have access to ideas. Europe, I think, unjustly got labeled as the copycat center a few years ago, mainly thanks to a few German brothers that built a great business doing that. But I think it's changing, and we're seeing a lot of incredible startups coming out of London and coming out of Europe and really disrupting the areas that they play in. So I don't need to convince you. I think you read the headlines and you know. And this is where campus comes in. You know, I work for Google, and we have it in our DNA to support startups. We are a startup ourselves. And we created campus as the way that I describe it is if there was an equivalent between real estate and software, campus would be an open source building. It's like an operating system for startups, physical operating system. But like any operating system, if you have an Android phone or an iPhone and all the apps were Google's or Apple's, it would be boring. So we work with great partners to power this ecosystem. And essentially, it's a 7-story building filled with startups. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what goes on at campus and what we managed to build here. But as of 2 weeks ago, I also been appointed or joined the Google for Entrepreneurs team as head of Europe, and I'll be working on transferring this magic across the continent, so I hope to be working with many of you in the coming months. So to quote Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, he says that there's 3 things that you need to have a successful startup hub, wherever you live. First thing is environment. The second thing is numbers or density. And the third thing is chance, and we'll talk a little bit about each and how campus fulfills these and creates a successful startup ecosystem. Let's start with environment. I divide environment into 2. One is physical space. This is a picture from the message board at campus. You can see that it's very full. Every week we empty the message board, and then it looks like this 48 hours later. So physical environment that brings people together and connects them is really important. We also have great office space, co-working space, and free space. And we host a lot of events. We enable the community to do much more by providing a space where people can convene and interact with each other. The other part of environment is community. And it's also a spirit of collaboration. You know, like how do you create this positive environment that helps startups grow? So we run a number of programs, including office hours, where Googlers come to campus once a week to mentor startups. We have talks where people like Guy Kawasaki or Jimmy Wales or Eric Schmidt come and speak with the startups and answer their questions. You know, you can maybe see these folks in an expensive conference, but you can never ask them a question. They come to campus and volunteer their time and provide this thought leadership. We even have investor office hours where we connect investors with startups. Just for the investors here in the room, how many of you would like to attend investor office hours at campus? All right, awesome. So come see me afterwards. Before we launched this, in the first session, we had 100 startups sign up to speak with investors. The reality is we just are about to launch our second survey at campus, and we asked startups, how much money did you raise since the beginning of the year? And just from the people that took the survey, we got a ridiculous number. I can't share it because we haven't published the study yet, but you would be impressed if I gave you this number for the whole of East London, let alone one building that's an office for startups. We also have a big emphasis on women and entrepreneurship. We'd like to encourage more women to get into entrepreneurship. We run a program called Campus for Moms. These are the youngest entrepreneurs I've ever seen. And it's the only time when I spoke and someone pulled my pants. But it's really, really exciting to see moms in maternity leave who are building the courage and getting the mentorship and education that they need in order to launch their businesses. Community doesn't have to be all about work. This is a picture from Tech Bikers, something that's very close to my heart. We created a charity, a non-for-profit organization called Tech Bikers. You can check it out at techbikers.com, where we cycle for charity, a group of technology entrepreneurs, VCs, techies, etc. We started a school and 2 libraries in Nepal last year, and this year we cycled from Paris to London with 70 people, and we raised enough money to sponsor 4,000 girls' education in Asia next year. So this is really part of community, and it's part of what we do at campus. The next thing is numbers, or density. So I asked Reid Hoffman when he came to London a couple of years ago for Silicon Valley comes to the UK, what do you think is missing to make London more like Silicon Valley? And he said, well, you're missing density. You know, you have all the components, but you just don't have enough of it. I think that was true a couple of years ago, and I think it's changing very, very fast. The number of entrepreneurs, investors, funds, clients, mentors, service providers, you know, every aspect you can think of the startup ecosystem is growing very, very quickly. Happy to say that campus plays a role, but of course we're not the only ones. I think it's part of a bigger movement. But it's really something that you need because startups are designed to grow. And the growth escalates or grows non-linearly when the startups raise money and get traction. We get to this density by embracing openness. And this is one of the principles of innovation at Google. I don't need to tell you, you probably recognize some of these logos. Openness is in the core of what we do, and this is also something that we take to heart at campus. So anyone can sign up to work from campus as long as you're an entrepreneur or investor or mentor. Anyone can apply to host their event at campus, and this sort of openness gives us the scale and helps us reach very high numbers. To share some numbers, we've been around for 18 months. I definitely aged more than 18 months in the last year and a half, but we've managed to build a really great community with some big numbers on the board, but I'd like to call out one number, and that's the cups of coffee. I asked the cafe at campus, how many cups of coffee did you sell in year 1? And they told me 90,000, about 90,000. And I think it's a really high number, but I also think that there's a correlation between coffee and innovation, and we have pretty damn good coffee. So if you're in London for a few more days, come check out campus and tell me yourself what you think. So you can't talk about campus and startups without mentioning some of the companies. I'm not doing justice to many other companies, but I just picked random 5 to give you a flavor. This is a company called Just Add Zero, and they're creating a mobile phone made of bamboo. Android is the operating system. The casing is bamboo. This company is called Treaty. Maybe you guys have seen them if there's any Spanish people in the audience. They're a Spanish startup that went through Seed Camp and 500 startups. They create a 360 review on you based on your social graph. So basically your friends and family telling you exactly what they think about you, which is a scary thought, but a really interesting concept for hiring and HR. This is a company that came out of Entrepreneur First. It's called AdBrain. They raised $1.5 million in seed doing multi-screen advertising. This is a company called Saydak. They do augmented reality-based shopping on mobile. So if I wanted to get a new sofa for this stage, I could flip the entire IKEA catalog on my phone and see how it looks on this stage. And this is a company called IT's that's putting Wi-Fi on all London black cabs. And the way that they're paying for it is by installing geolocated advertising on the roof. So this, I hope, gives you a flavor. All of these guys are a little bit over the MVP stage, but very early stage, guys and girls, I should say. We have a double the average participation of women, double the industry average. I think we all need to work on increasing the industry average, but at least at campus, we really try to put an emphasis on that. So hope I gave you the flavor on numbers and density. So there's over 100 startups working from campus every day. We helped more than 1,000 startups in mentorship sessions alone this year, so gives you a flavor of the volumes. The last element that I want to talk about is chance or serendipity, and this is the magic powder that makes or breaks certain startups, right? This is a picture taken in the cafe. It's pretty representative. It's always full. Entrepreneurs know that if they don't come to campus at 9:30, it's going to be very hard to find a seat. But when you have such a concentration of smart, ambitious people that are looking to change their world in their respective field, coming together every day and for events and consistently, you're going to create magic. There's connections made. There's people get inspired. People find their co-founder, launch a business, raise funding, close a deal, and everything is due to this concentration. So physical space, I think, is very important, but we help create this serendipity across the life cycle of the startup, anything from raising the profile of the startups to really giving them the tools and education that they need to be successful. So where does it fit in the bigger picture? So I mentioned that I'm part of Google for Entrepreneurs. I'm the head of Europe. Google for Entrepreneurs is an arm of Google Ventures, and we empower entrepreneurs around the world through products, programs, and partnerships. I got the order wrong. But you get the point. We don't directly invest in startups. We invest in startup communities. We go around the world and we help communities get better, stronger, and get entrepreneurship to more people. We have more than 60 partnerships. We're active in over 110 countries. The team has been around for a couple of years, but at Google, we've been doing things to support startups since we began really from 15 years ago. So now the challenge is how can we bring this all together? How can we build this truly global community? This is the places where we have activities right now. I'm going to be focusing on building these activities in Europe and strengthening the European startup ecosystem. But you can imagine in the near future having a truly global community where together with partners, these are some of our partners on the board, we will be able to connect startup communities one to each other, startup communities to other hubs, to Silicon Valley, to London, etc. So it's, to quote a friend of mine who runs Techstars London, John Bradford, he says that in Europe we need bridges, not valleys. Everyone is trying to create their own valley. I'm focusing on building bridges between these valleys. These are some of our physical spaces so far. We operate Campus London and Campus Tel Aviv. These are the first ever campuses in the world. We also have partnerships in different places around Europe, like the factory in Berlin, Silicon Sentier in Paris, and a small space in Poland. So in the next few months, as I mentioned, I'm going to be focused on expanding on this. If you have a great recommendation for people I should talk to, please come see me or drop me a line. We also provide online tools for entrepreneurs. It's an online learning center and different content like Hangouts. We had a Hangout with Elon Musk and Richard Branson, which was probably the best attended Hangout of all time. And it's pretty cool because not only you get to see them in real time, but you also get to ask your questions and interact with them. So this is part of what we do, helping shine a spotlight on entrepreneurship, inspire people, and give them access to this great inspirational or educational content as well. Another part of the work that I do is working with developer relations or the developer relations team. By the way, do you know what RTFM means? OK, it means read the fantastic manual. Or if you're a geek, the F can be replaced with a different word. Developer relations is a team at Google that helps developers and startups integrate Google tools and Google technologies into their products. So if you have, for example, great startups in mobile, there's a team at Google that would help them get better and get featured on Android, etc., or work with Google APIs. So we work very closely with this team and are looking to shine a spotlight on European startups in this way as well. So finally, the next steps is building a truly pan-European startup network, working with partners. It's helping educate entrepreneurs and bring this information that's so common knowledge in Silicon Valley and make it common knowledge here as well of what it is to find a company, what it is to develop product, MVP, UX, and so on and so forth. And also help startups bring in the Google expertise into the table in different ways, whether it's through developer relations programs or partners. You don't have to take it from me. I welcome you all to come and visit campus and join our community. All you have to do is sign up on campuslondon.com. I'll also be around the conference, so if you want to get in touch, I'll do something that you should never do in a conference like this when you have so many great people, but I'll be happy to give my email. It's ezevidra@google.com. Very easy. I can't promise that I'll be timely, but ezevidra@google.com, or hit me on Twitter. Thank you very much.